Okay. This is my first YouTube live, and I'm here from my kitchen having coffee. And we're talking Vice Cycle, challenge, and overcoming. So everybody enters this cycle different in a different place. And you have to be honest with me. You have to be honest with you if you're going to get around it. It could be as simple as like overeating more than you'd like, wanting to lose weight and knowing that you keep going back. That is a vice, right? Like tons of people, tons of men don't admit that they're emotionally eating, right? Like the day sucked. So then I came home and ate. The day sucking has nothing to do with real hunger or the need of food. It's just emotional. It's like I wanted to distract myself, so I overate. I get it. I'm right there with you. I do the same thing. But there's certain actions that you can take, uh, like fasting and stuff like that, and just being strict with what you're going to eat, and even journaling for when those times will be allowed. Like when can you have cookies and when can't you? And what will you be eating in your next meal? Writing it down detailed and then living that out. Big difference between feeling like pissed about how the day went and then taking out actions like filling your face full of Doritos. That's a vice. Gluttony, right? To overeat like that is a vice. So it's cool. And then there's more serious ones, more complicated ones is like drug use and mistreatment of others, and like your emotions really get in your way, and they challenge you in a bigger way, and it looks different. So some of us keep our emotions inward, and some of us push them out onto other people, and then there's that, which is fine. Everybody's screwed up in some way. It's all good. But to be knowing the vice and the problems, not just living within them. This is a big part of this is like to break free from anything, you need to know what you're breaking free of. And if you're just in your mind commiserating with the pole of like somebody's mad at me over here, I don't want to do what I have to go do here, we're always in the cycle and we don't see the cycle because we're so within it. And so that's the emotions taking us on their path to neverland versus having your attention set like this is how I want to approach this. Oh, something I wasn't considering, how do I want to approach that? And so being in charge, taking control of yourself, and then when things are arbitrarily going wrong, what to do there. And this is all going to come back down to habits, because if you're throwing yourself into a frenzy when if you let other people throw you into a frenzy, but also your habits are all frenzied and what you're doing in your day is like sporadic. Now, when something comes up, like you're a sitting duck for something to make you feel bad, and we are super focused on feeling bad, right? When people ask each other like how you feeling, how you doing, they're asking for that, and so they're pulling that out of you, they're getting that information. We're focusing on the feeling again, and you're communicating with everybody. It's not suppression. Don't confuse this with like, oh, I should suppress that stuff and put it in the back. It's like you need to be consciously dealing with it. Don't be asking for help from other people, and don't be sharing like that you're in a bad spot just to anyone. They need to be a trusted person. You need to open that opportunity for you both to have that discussion at the right time. Don't just be having casual conversations that need depth and attention. That's like you're being letting yourself be prey to somebody who might not give great advice, or just might trample over a topic that you need some care for, right? So the vice cycle and overcoming these things, it's a day-to-day process. You know, when like you meet a guy or somebody who's dealing with like a hard addiction to, like, they're like an alcoholic or something, they say I take it day by day, or like anybody just in a tough spot, they say I'm taking it day by day. These things, they really are day by day. You could be doing great one day, great on the one hand, and then something happens, spirals you off, and hopefully your habits have been set up that you won't spiral completely off. You just have a lapse in what you're going to do at that time, but you get back on track. And it's just not a clear path forward a lot of times, but that's what my hope is in making videos and extending the opportunity to speak with you, leave your comments if any of this is helpful, but it's like every day is the same. Well, first of all, if you don't have a routine, every day isn't the same. If you don't have a job or like obligations, then your day is going to be dependent completely on you, which is maybe great. It depends. If you're like an entrepreneur, your day is dependent on you. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're going by that, then maybe you're doing well. But even the successful entrepreneurs, like locally successful entrepreneur guys I know, they struggle with this just as much as anyone else, or guys coming out of college or whatever, who they're struggling with their routine, right? Like they're staying up late more often than they should. They have class early or they have work or whatever. Tons of things they want to do, and then all this time where it's up for debate with them, and then they have to fight those voices like, do this thing, shut up and do it. First, like, do what's easy, do what's fun. So it starts looking like in the mornings or in the evenings, spending some time journaling with yourself honestly. Just like write a question at the top of the page, like, how come I don't have enough money by the end of the month? If you ask that question and you honestly go into it with yourself, sometimes you can give yourself great advice. And you don't have to rely on one. It's not one session that gets done, it's many of them, and commitment to doing a lot, right? So and work on yourself, just work on yourself in general. Journaling out these things gets you somewhere. So journaling out, why am I short on money? Journaling out, you'll ask yourself many other questions, and the questions are all tied to feelings and emotions, and then you can see how that came to be. Where did I pick this habit up from? Or like this thought pattern, right? Like when you're low on money, it makes me feel like this, and I react to people this way. And if those things aren't too good, then we just have to address our reaction. And if you read like Marcus Aurelius and like what's it called, stoicism, stuff like that, they talk a lot about the only thing we control is our reaction. But in that, our we control our reaction, so we control everything in a certain way, because you don't have to play it out to a degree that would really screw you up if you're control of your reactions. And it's confusing at times, like what should I react to for XYZ? Really, you have to look at the moment you're in and react right there. If you do everything in your day that you need to get done, you're reacting properly. And if you're overthinking things, that's a problem. If you're lost in fear of the future, you're sad about the past, upset about how things turned out. Really, we got to pick ourselves up and move forward. And that's done over time with trusted people in our lives. Hopefully, we have them, and thank God that we have them. And that's what helps, right? Sometimes time heals all wounds. So the vice cycle goes like that. So you got to identify the vice, then you're going to see, oh man, there is a structure to this. And sometimes it's tough to see. It's like blurry mirror, blurry window to see that oh man, there's a structure to this. But when you fall into the vice again, you got to see what happened right there. Was it the tough day at work? Was it a comment from somebody? What kind of things were coming up that made you fall back into the vice of overeating, over drinking, staying out late, not waking up in the morning? What got you out of a good cycle? That's an important question. What gets me out of a good cycle? If you know that, you know where the boundary is for what you don't want to do. So maybe that is like you need your sleep and all that stuff. And then you can have some rules. Once you have rules, now you can go forward. But a lot of times we just adopt rules from other people, or how it works for people at work, or how it works for our friends and family, and maybe that isn't always how we need to do it. Our life, you need to personalize, you need to customize, and it's a day in day out process, and that cycle will eventually work in your favor. Or if you're on the other track, it's not working in your favor, we need to pause. We need to pause on emotions, we need to pause on planning, because we need to figure out, what do we want? What are we doing? Where are we going? Who are we becoming? And once we have those, when we have that array of questions answered, and it's like, yeah, I put my life on this. Now we really push somewhere. and you can really get that effort. You can get that effort out of yourself and you can extend the hand to other people. So it really, like, the vice cycle there is, at first you don't even see the cycle. Second, you start to identify it. Maybe other people, right? Like your girlfriend, your friends, your dad, somebody will tell you, like, you suck at this. Ask them, what do I suck at? If you ask people, what do I suck at? You'll get honest answers, and tell them, I want your honest opinion. What do I suck at? If you ask anybody that, if you let yourself ask somebody that and they give you the right answer, you'll know it's the right answer because you'll feel it. You'll be like, oh man, they went right for the jaw. They went right for it. And if they do, and they give you the honest answer and it feels like, yeah, I struggle on that, now you can go somewhere because now you have a plan for the future of, like, all these things that you've been dealing with that are a problem, that maybe they're so muddy, they're so unclear that you haven't even seen it as a problem. It's just like what you've been given is what's been happening. The pattern is the pattern until you change it. Then when you see that, you're like, you're kind of always clicking back into not seeing the cycle at all. You'd be like, oh, it's kind of foggy. I think I'm imagining that there is a cycle or something. And then you'll go streaks without indulging in the bad habit, or, like, New Year's resolutions. You'll be like, all bolstered up about the new year and, like, new you and all that stuff from the past. I don't need any more. It's a new me, a new year, all that stuff. And then it slowly fades. Like, already we're like 20 something weeks into the new year, and maybe people had the weight loss goal, maybe had all other kinds of goals, and they all got skewed. They all fell apart. And hopefully they get back up on track. And that's what I hope for them, that they get back up on track. But if they don't, they got a long time to live in that cycle, and we want to prevent that cycle. That's the best part of self-development stuff, is that you can just get back on it. You might get swayed, but just get back on. That's all you really need to do. If you've done anything, you see the value in repetition. If you do repetition over repetition, you're getting better. And if you're just taking yourself out of the option of repetition, or seeing, really, like, if you're just not looking at it all so that you don't fail, then you don't know when you fail, so you don't know you're getting worse, so you're just staying the same. So those parts of seeing the cycle you're in, identifying the problems, and then seeing how it's almost like it's not there, and then you're like, all right, I identified them, it's there. And then there's, like, the redemptive part of us is like, I'm gonna break free of this thing. So you get to redemption, it's like the bottom here, and then you fall because it's just who you've been. You've always practiced being that person. So we like everything about our personality, our memory, it like is all tangled up with these habits we want to break out of. So it's really tough to break out of them just on a whim. You need to commit, and when you commit over time, your commitment gets better. Definitely, I'll die on that. If you commit over time, your commitment gets better. So you try to redeem yourself on New Year's or something like that, and then you fall. Okay, it's all good. Now the second commitment is when you fall. Did you get back up? Like, did you overeat one day and then get back on it the next day or the next week? Because you can always just change pattern next week. There's really no big difference. Don't wait until next year. That's a bigger issue, right? Wait till next week. Wait till you can just set, like, a thing. Like, hey, next Monday I'm going to do it. So you get to that redemptive fail, right? You challenge yourself, but you don't get there. You don't get the goods. You didn't stick with the program, whatever. And now you feel like crap again. You're back in the cycle. Now this is the point where people have to go all the way back around the clock. They have to re-identify the problems from that point, and they're over emotional and all these things, and things are getting in their way. Their habits have all been altered because they let themselves back in. So you really have to honor at any point, whether you're doing good or bad, what got you to that point. Be really grateful for both sides of that. The difficulties help you to see what you would do different in the future, and then if you really honestly look at it and you stay committed to looking at those things, journaling honestly, you'll figure out all the things to avoid and you'll just be smoother. Like I've listened to musicians talk about playing guitar or like the piano or something. They're like, a lot of people think we don't like mess up on the keys and stuff, but really it's just we know how to hide mistakes better. And that's really what it is. To get out of ice, you got to know how to, it's not so much hiding, but just smooth that out. Like, oh, you played the wrong note, boom, smooth it out, make it part of the song. And that's like what we respect about an athlete, a musician. They're putting themselves out there and they have this moment and they have to make it worthwhile. And it's the same with us, but it's that long game that we really get lost in and not seeing the cycles that we're on, right? So where there's vice, it's a lack of virtue. And what is a virtue? Virtue is the striving and attainment of, maybe even a striving, attainment, and continuation of something difficult to have. And that would be honesty, love, being generative, being able to do a lot with what you got. All of that comes to mind. And when you have it, sometimes it's like, oh, it's never. Sometimes when you have things going good, it's like I want it more, and we get like that. We like, oh, it's not that, it's not as good as it could be. But then when it's not going too good, we're like, it'll never be good again. So it's tough to not get lost in all of those. But see how those are emotional hooks. When I'm down, I'll always be down. When I'm up, I'll never be down again. You can't see those sides. You can't get lost in the sauce. So this is why constant journaling is a big part of anybody's mental health habits, because you got to see your mind. You got to be able to write it down, maybe even read it back to somebody, be like, hey, I had all these thoughts and here they are. Would you read these with me? Let's like unpack it. So this is the vice cycle. This is how you overcome shit. This is how you get better day in, day out, is looking at everything you don't want to look at, and then writing out everything you want to get better at, and then picking whatever you can handle, one thing. A lot of times it comes down to one thing. If we have too many things going on, we do none of them well. You hear these quotes all over the place, but it's the truth. It's the truth. If you have too much going on, you do none of it well. So, working men out there, this is my plug, right? This is what I love talking about. This is what I love discussing. I love speaking with guys who are challenging themselves, and maybe you're down at the moment. I love speaking with guys who are doing great at the moment and they just want to do better. They want to clean up and they want to get away from filthy vice that wastes time and their life. And if that's you, and if you're seeing this video, connect with me, either email gilmorewyatt1@gmail.com, and we can go back and forth. And I'd love to support you as much as I possibly can. I have a couple programs that work really well for weight loss and getting out of ice, getting in the gym, getting your mind clean, getting your friends together, doing things, having plans for the future. And I think the future should be exciting. I think a lot of us live too small. I know I'm always working. I'm working to not live small, and I know that everybody's doing a similar thing. And sometimes we just gotta ramble. We just gotta discuss stuff. And so I'm here for you. So if you want to connect, we can do some more of this, and I'll share my thoughts. You share your thoughts, but live Zoom meetings every week, and we go out in our lives and we put ourselves out there to struggle and challenge and push and grow. And then we come back and we reassess, like, dude, how'd you do this week? And we discuss things. And you have to be honest, like what went well, what didn't, and then push on from that point. But as I go and as I grow with mentors of mine, I realize how little I get accomplished alone and how much more things happen when we work together. And so if you're lonely out there, or if you're like really in a bad place, I'm here for you. I'm here for you to be a resource and a friend that I've been around certain things. I've had success in different areas, and so have you. You might be down at the moment, but it's not your only moment, bro. You've had other moments where you've been on highs and been on lows, and we got to get through all the middles, right? The thick and thins. So that's enough of a live stream. First live stream on here. Planning to do many more. Have a great day. Kick ass. Let's go.